BrokerPro is your 24/7 cloud-based TMS that helps brokers manage their day-to-day operations. When you first log into BrokerPro, it brings you to a dashboard of information, and the more data you put in, the stronger and faster it becomes. Such up here, this is what your average load or invoice is paying you. Your average cost per load, profit margin, and average loads per month. Now, the information I'm sharing with you is all dummy data, just made up, and so the numbers may or may not be good, but the idea is to kind of give you an idea of how the software operates. The second graph is just showing what you actually invoiced or brokered for the past 12 months, so you can get a good idea how you're trending. In December 2020, 58 loads were invoiced for $159,000. You made 34. 64 loads in November for $134,000. You made $28,000. So as you can see here, it just gives you a good idea of how you're trending over the past 12 months. This next section, these are loads shipping today and delivering today. So you can see I've got several loads out for delivery or en route or have been delivered. Some shipping today, picked up, en route. If you hover your mouse over the customer and carrier's name, it feeds back information to you. Or if you click on the city or state, it takes you out to Google Maps to that address. Also in BrokerPro, you can have multiple windows open and working. So I can have my load detail, customer profile, carrier profile, all opened up and working simultaneously. And you'll notice everything red is carrier related, everything green is customer related, and load information is blue and gray. This next section is your top 10 customers and carriers, who's giving the most freight, who's hauling the most freight. We also have a quoting tool, RQS, that lets you build a quote, post your load board accounts through our posting service, send bid requests out to preferred carriers, submit the quote to the customer, and if you win it, convert it to a load. So this graph is showing us year-to-date 2021 that 18 quotes have been created for nearly $100,000. 4 are still active, worth $10,000, not got a yes or no yet. 12 have been converted to loads worth $82,000, and we've lost 2 quotes worth $6,700. The pie graph over here, this refreshes every month and starts over again, but it's giving you an idea of your loads created so far for the current month. I have 2 with invoice status, 2 that's been voided, 1 available, 2 assigned, 1 dispatched, 5 en route, and 2 been delivered. And this updates periodically throughout the day, but remember, this is just a dashboard, a landing page of information. Also to note, BrokerPro is loaded with alerts, reminders, and notifications. I've got it set to remind me 1 hour before load is scheduled for pickup or delivery. Also, we have several integration partners that feed information back into BrokerPro automatically. In this case, SaferWatch has updated EF Corporation's insurance. Okay. If you use My Carrier packets, when you onboard a carrier, you get an alert that a carrier has been onboarded, and it attaches their broker agreement. If you use the DocuSign or Sign Request feature, when a document comes back signed, it attaches it to the load, and you get a notification that it's been updated. You can also create reminders to call or follow up with someone, so you can use BrokerPro as a mini CRM. We also have an instant messenger tool for those that have 2 or more people working in your organization. You can create groups, agents group or accounting, and communicate. Then a green dot indicates that they're logged in. So let's do a quote. And I've got about almost 700 quotes, 686 quotes in my database. And again, this is all made up information. But let's say a customer has emailed or called and they want you to do a quote for them. Let's say it's Dell Computer. And they are computers, and they want you to pick up a load at their facility. Let's just type Dell in Compton, California, and I'll put myself on here as a sales rep and dispatcher. And status open equipment. They'll probably want a van wouldn't want a flatbed for computers. We'll say it's a 53 footer, service type, standard truckload, and I'm just showing you the different options that you have. Put down the weight, we'll say 38,250 pounds. We'll say it's 2 loads. Again, picking up in Compton, California. They want this to ship on the 12th. And it's going to, let's say, Sigma Electronics in Texas. So in BrokerPro, we have a locations table that lets you store picks, drops, and stops. Those repetitive locations that you go to over and over again. You can assign contacts, pick up or delivery information. You can flag them. And to access it, all you have to do is start typing the name of the company. And there we see we got one in Houston and Dallas. Or I can start typing the city. And it pulls up, so we'll just use this one, or I could type a zip code. So now we've got the quote created, where it's picking up, where it's going to, what it is. Let's save it. Now there's 2 things you can do with it. We interface with Post Everywhere, Truck Stop, and DAT. We have a quick post button, 1 click, and it hits all your load boards. Okay, now we get it so that it was successful. And we also have a bid request feature. And this allows you to send emails out to your preferred carrier groups. Now, carrier groups are created 1 or 2 ways. On your customer profile, you can go and assign carriers. These are your go-to carriers whenever you get a load or quote from this customer. And so when you click on bid request on a quote or a load for that customer, it defaults and puts these addresses in it. But as a user, you can also create preferred carrier groups. You see here I've got Southeast carriers, West Coast carriers, flatbed carriers. So you associate the carriers with a group, give it a name, and you can have carriers in multiple groups. So now when I come over here and drop this down, you see those different groups. And it's just basically asking them to reply with a quote for hauling the shipment and some of the shipment information. Customer's name and address, phone number, things like that are not in there. And we send that out. So we got it posted to the load boards. We got a bid request sent out. We also interface with the data rate view, lane master, and truck stop rate mate. And so this feeds information about spot rate history. And let's just say $3,000. We'll do a flat rate, $3,000. And this list, you maintain it. You create what you want: flat rate, per mile, tons, pallet, bag, box, kit. I've got a lot of information in it just based on demos and things like that. But the idea is you can have what you want, and you can also have as many as you need. So if you have different products, let's say blueberries, 350 cases at $2 a case. Strawberries, 450 cases at $9 a case. You can have those many as you need, and it adds them up. Accessorials, the same thing. You can have as many as you need. You create the list and maintain it. So let's say that we're going to have a lumper fee, $100. Fuel surcharge, percentage, flat rate, per mile, none. We'll just say percentage. The idea here is to let you see what all options you have. Let's save it. So we're going to quote this customer $3,400, $3,000 for the line haul, $100 for a lumper fee, and a 10% fuel surcharge. So now we are ready to submit the quote to the customer. Here's what it looked like with your logo, company information, your customer, any notes that you might want to include, load information, equipment requirements, pickup and delivery information, a breakdown of the rate, and a place for them to sign off. So nice, clean, professional looking quote that you can submit to your customer. And you just click here, put in their email address, or it may already be on there if it's assigned to that customer, and send. So the customer gets it, he responds back and says, you got it, go for it. Now we can convert it to a load. And we had said earlier that it was 2 loads in a quote. So I convert. And now it pulls it off the load boards, and we've got 2 loads, 1 through 482 and 483. So the idea is to give you a tool to build a quote, post to the load board accounts, send out bid requests, submit the quote to the customer, win it, convert it to a load. Now let's go to the load list. The load list is a very dynamic, user customizable screen. So let's just talk about a little about this. The available tab, these are your open loads that don't have a carrier assigned to them. Okay, so these are the ones that you're actively trying to cover. You're posting to the load board, sending out bid requests, and so on. Your active loads, these are loads that have a status of assigned, dispatched, picked up, and en route. So these loads your brokers are making check calls on. Drivers are calling in saying they're en route, or they've arrived, or they're unloaded. You're going in and updating the check calls on them. Your delivered tab, these are loads that have a status of delivered, ready to invoiced, paid, and completed. So your accounting might go here and look at these loads. You can sort them, filter them. You can paginate up to 500 loads. I've got a bunch set here. I won't scroll all the way down. But one good thing about it, if you go here, let's say I want to go to my active loads, and I want to see all my loads for 3GIS. So here, see, I've got several loads that are active, en route, or picked up, and I want to check on them. Or maybe my Dell loads, I've got 3. Or maybe go and look at all my loads that B Trucking is on. Or any carrier, or I can sort them by clicking on the up and down arrows alphabetically, ship date, load number, status. So very versatile screen. The custom tab, this lets you pick the statuses you want to see. Right now delivered is set. I'm going to paginate at 25 so you don't have to scroll so much. But you can see here's all my delivered loads. There's 35 of them. Okay. Well, let's say I want to see all my invoice loads. I have 71 loads in my database that have a status of invoiced. Okay. We also have an advanced search, and this lets you go and look up information history. Let's say I want to know all the loads that shipped in 2021. I'm sorry, 2020. So in my database, there are 747 loads with a ship date in 2020. Okay, let's say I want to adjust that. I want to know all the loads that shipped out of the state of Alabama that went to Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas. Search. Okay, so that brings it to 132 loads. Now, with this information, a lot of things I can do. One, in BrokerPro, all of your search results and reports can be exported to PDF and Excel. Okay, so everything can be exported. Also, you can have different templates or views of information. Example, you see the column headings that I have selected here. Okay, well, here you can see I can pick the little boxes. I want to show the ship weight. Now the ship weight is just displayed. Also, you can create different templates depending on what columns you want to see. Here you see I've got a lot more columns. I've got the gross charges, cost, balance, things like that. Our location report. So you're able to create the different templates, and then if you want to, export them out to PDF or Excel. You can also memorize a schedule report. What this does is let you set a rule of how often, when, what information. Do you want the PDF, Excel, or both? Do you want to include other recipients? And then save that report. Let's say I want it every Monday morning at 7:30. I want to email my inbox of everything that we booked the last week, Monday through Sunday, or what we invoiced. So you'd be able to schedule that report and have it in your inbox every Monday. Let's go back to the load list. I mentioned the locations table earlier. These are your pick stops and stops that you saved. You see I've got several for ABC packing out of different locations. If I hit next, see this one's been flagged. So every time I use this location on a load, it's going to pop up and say driver must wear hard hat safety glasses. And this shows up on the load confirmation. I can also have contacts, directions, and things like that along with it. You saw me send a bid request for that quote earlier, but you can see here I've got a bunch of open loads that need to be covered. So I can click on bid request from my load list, and all my open loads, select the ones I want to select the groups I want to send it to, and it embeds that information in an email, attaches a spreadsheet, and sends it out to the carriers that you've selected for them to respond back to. Quick Post allows you to post all of your available loads. Okay. Quick Unpost allows you to unpost all of them. Let's say you want to refresh them and put them back up so that it shows a current timestamp on it. That's how you would do that. The status updates in BrokerPro, there's a check call tab that lets you go and create check calls. Okay, and I can send out a status email to my customer, let him know, hey, your load from Atlanta to Jacksonville that shipped on February the 8th, current status is waiting to unload, and send. Okay, or if I've got a customer that has several loads, instead of sending him 7 or 8 emails of status updates, I can come here after I've done all my check calls and send one email with multiple check calls on it. That way you don't inundate your customer with a bunch of emails. So the load list is very versatile, user definable, several different options. And you see here, here's these 2 loads that we created from that quote. So let's go here and take a look at this load and how we dispatch it. When I click on the load number, this takes me to the load detail. Okay, and this is what I call the dispatch screen. We'll see the load number, invoice number, customer. We don't have a carrier yet. When we assign a carrier, we'll see the carrier name over here. But from the load detail, I can add a load, copy a load, run miles, send out a bid request, add a load note. But this is a quote that we converted, so pretty much everything's already here except for the carrier. Okay, so here I can add a load, put all the load information in, post to the load boards, send out a bid request, assign a carrier, send a load confirmation, dispatch the truck. I can build it, post it, assign it, dispatch it from the one screen. So let's say that I have a carrier that I'm interested in that's hauling this load. When I click here, BrokerPro is going to make some recommendations based on some settings. Okay, so it looks like Maria Del Carmen. They are a backhaul match, equipment match, and they're a preferred carrier. And they have a performance rating of 8. So where does that come from? Let's look at Doug Andrus. We see here he has a performance rating of 8, and this comes from where you have rated the carrier at the end of his delivery, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. Also, on this carrier profile, we have marked them as a preferred carrier status. And this basically means internal flag. They have a good rapport with your company. They're on time. Their drivers are polite. Work good with them. So you give them preferred carrier status. We also have the lanes that this carrier has submitted a run. So this is where a potential backhaul or head haul match may come in. So hey, check with this truck. They run this lane. They might have a truck in the area. Third setting, select the carrier equipment. So you've gone in and marked the equipment that they have and how many pieces they have, and so it might come back as an equipment match. Hey, this truck has vans or flatbeds. Okay. Another option would be active load match, and where that comes in, you have a carrier that's delivering a load in the same state this load's picking up in. So I've got a load delivering in California, and I've got a load shipping in California. It would pop up and say, hey, this is an active load match for this carrier. So B Trucking is who I'm thinking about using, so I can just start typing his name, and there he is. selected. It pulls the load off the load boards. Status changes to assign when I save it. Oh, I didn't hit it right. There we go. Okay. Here's another one of the warnings that I was mentioning. Carrier's insurance expires in less than 30 days. There's 4 insurance warnings in BrokerPro. This is the first one. The second will be carrier's insurance expires before the load delivers. So it'd kind of be nice to know if the load ships on Thursday, it delivers on Monday, insurance expires on Saturday. It'd be nice to know that before the load ships. Third warning, carrier's insurance has expired. And it won't let you put them on a load until you have updated your insurance to a future expiration date. The fourth warning, carrier has insufficient insurance. And where that comes in, a customer, maybe they have high value freight and they've told you in your agreement or contract that all carriers are required to have $150,000 of the cargo or $250 worth of liability. Whatever they require, you can put that in, and then when you go to put a carrier on a load that doesn't meet that requirement, it will pop up and say carrier has insufficient insurance. Okay, this carrier's been flagged, and that's just an internal soft warning, like right here. Review performance report. You can flag customers and carriers, and then that will pop up, and you just acknowledge it and move on. So our status has changed to assign. We pulled off the load boards, put the dispatcher on here, truck trailer number if you happen to know it at the time, or you can capture that later. The driver's name. You're able to email and text the driver pickup and delivery instructions. So you're able to see that through the system. Now we don't have a rate here. According to Rate View and Rate Lane Master and some settings that we have, they're recommending $26.30. We look on the accounting tab. What do we quote to customer? $3,000. So I can click this and it puts that information in. If I scroll down, okay, it'll tell me here I'm on load accounting summary. We're making $770, 22% profit margin. So it's not too bad. So we'll just go ahead and accept that. We do need to put in the lumper fee. Now you notice I jumped over to the accounting tab. I mentioned earlier everything red is carrier related or cost, everything green is customer related and charges. But notice if I drop down here and select lumper fee, I jump back over here, you'll see lumper fee. It just mirrors it. And again, the idea on the load detail, where I can build a load, post to the load board, send out bid request, sign a carrier, send a load confirmation, dispatch a truck. So notice when I save that and put that carrier on here, it pulled off the load boards. So when you assign a carrier to a load, it automatically takes it off your load boards if you posted it. So we got the carrier on here, B trucking. Now we can send them a load confirmation. So confirmation 1, we have 2, and it's just merely options. Confirmation 1, so we've got your logo, your company information, phone and fax numbers, carrier information, load requirements, pickup and delivery information. Confirmation 1, whatever's on that load detail as far as names, address, phone numbers, contacts, it shows up here. And I can click on this, it takes me out to Google Maps, or I can see that shipping location. Confirmation 2 is exactly the same, except it just has a city-state. Well, why would you do that? Well, let's just say it's a new carrier, first time they've hauled for you. You don't have a broker agreement back yet, so you want to send them confirmation 1, have the driver call me for dispatch, and send your broker your signed contract back when you send the confirmation. And so you can email it, and when you email it, you can attach other documents. Now we also work with some electronic signature request companies, DocuSign and Sign Request, so you're able to send out electronic signature too. It's a good tool. When it comes back signed, it automatically attaches it to the Documents tab, and you get a notification that you've received it back signed and completed. So again, load detail, you build a load, post to the load boards, send out bid request, assign a carrier, send a load confirmation, dispatch a truck. Build it, post it, assign it, dispatch it from one screen. Your secondary dispatch screen would be the check calls. And this is where you can go in and track the load through the pickup and delivery process. You can create your own check calls. They're in alphabetical order. So let's say on this one I have dispatched a driver. And it will prompt you to change the status. Do you want to change status to dispatch? I do. And we dispatched him from Bakersfield. And again, I can send a status email now, or I can wait and do one later. And let's say he arrived for pickup. Was he on time or late? And this comes in handy for your performance ratings. We talked about that briefly earlier. Once the carrier's made his delivery, you can come back and rate him. Now he's called back and he is en route. Would you like to change status en route? Yes. And you can do as many or as few of these as you want, all the way down to delivered. Unloaded, I think. Here we go. Change status to delivered, yes. And you see the status changes each time we do that. And we can give him a performance rating. We'll give him a 8 because the driver was late. We also interface with MacroPoint and LoadTrack. And these are tools that let you track the load by pinging the driver's cell phone and feeding information back into BrokerPro. So down below the bottom check call, it would show when he acknowledged receipt of the text. When start tracking him about an hour before his scheduled pickup time. When he departs the shipper, it changes the status to en route. When he leaves the final destination, it changes the status to delivered. Okay. The customer tab, this is a snapshot of your customer. Just displays information as far as phone numbers, emails, contacts. If I click here, it's going to open up Skype. If you click on a name or email address, it opens up an email to send out. I click here, it opens up Google Maps. He doesn't have any preferred carriers assigned to him. I can run an aging summary, and this gives you a quick snapshot of what you have outstanding with him. So in BrokerPro, you can create the customer, set credit limits, pay terms, invoice the customer, send past due and balance due invoices, statements, and receive payment. So I've got a $45,000 line of credit on Dell computer. He has $26,000 in outstanding loads that are available, committed, assigned, dispatched, picked up, entered, delivered, and pending. $3,700, that's invoice, that's aging, for a total of $30,000 against a $45,000 line of credit, so he's okay. Okay. Of the aging part, 44 is under 30 days, 3,700 is over 30 days, average days of pay is 25. So when this customer gets within about 75-80% of his credit limit, it's going to start warning you. When he hits that credit limit, it's not going to let you put another load on him until you increase the credit limit, or more preferably, receive payment against that. And then you can start putting more loads on him. So it's a good little tool to help you manage your aging invoices. If I wanted to edit this customer, click here. This takes me to his profile. Okay, so he's an active customer. There's company information, billing information, different requirements. He requires a PO'd invoice. You may have someone that requires a proof of delivery. So if these are selected, you're not able to print that invoice until that requirement's met. Okay. You see here documents to include when invoicing. So with our document management tool, as you upload different types of documents to the load or the customer or the carrier, you're able to, when you invoice the customer, it'll automatically attach and include that. If you email it, or if you print it out, it'll print out the proof of delivery along with the invoice. He doesn't have any preferred carriers, locations, or contacts assigned. But if I wanted to assign a carrier, maybe I want to assign B Trucking now that he's hauled a load for me. And I could add others. Okay. See, now he's got some carriers associated with his preferred carriers. We also see documents. These are documents that's been uploaded. It's got a proof of delivery. Notes. You're able to create notes. It puts a date and time stamp and who created it. And I mentioned earlier that you can create reminders, so you can use BrokerPro as a CRM. make phone calls, enter notes, create reminders, put in prospective customers and carriers, and as you work and onboard them, update the status. Save and exit takes me back to my load. Okay, carrier detail is a snapshot of your carrier, so you can see the phone number. I want to open up Skype. If I click it, this takes you out to Google Maps. This opens up an email. We see the contacts associated with their account, equipment type that's been assigned, contacts, insurance information. We looked at the performance report earlier. If I wanted to edit the carrier, click here. This takes me to their profile. And we can see company information. When was he contracted or first utilized? Company information. If he has a factoring company, do we want to remit payment to that? So he has a preferred carrier status, a required carrier agreement to assign the load. And what this means, if there's no carrier agreement assigned to attached to his profile, users can't put him on a load. So that might be a company-wide setting that you might have. He's been flagged. Watch CSA scores. We see the equipment and the lanes that he's been associated with, contacts, and insurance information. See, his insurance expires March 1st. So that's why it's popping up. It's want to say, hey, this guy's insurance is expiring in the next 30 days. And BrokerPro has a tool that you can run a report of carriers whose insurance is expiring and email them a notification. We can see he has 104 documents that have been uploaded and associated with his account. 3 notes that have been created. We offer ACH payments, and so if this carrier was paid via ACH, his bank details would be here. And this would only be visible to administration. Brokers and agents couldn't see it. See here where it says Safer Watch Update or Lookup. So the last time I reviewed this carrier was February the 3rd at 4:50 p.m. So I can do a lookup, and this takes me to my Safer Watch account, B Trucking, and see that he has a moderate assessment based on information in here. He's an active common contract carrier, A-, A+ insurance ratings. CSA scores has 81 for hours of service. That little red arrow up means that it's worse than it was last time. It's getting worse. Vehicle maintenance is 75, same thing. Inspections and crashes, operational information, what all he does, what type of authority he has, number of drivers, tractors, and trailers. So back over here, if I hit save and continue, notice it changes that to the current date. So now you can always go and look and see when the last time this carrier was reviewed. Then I mentioned Safer Watch. Let's say that I've got a carrier that he's interested in a load. While I'm on the phone with him, I can do a quick lookup. Doug Andrus, acceptable assessment. He's a broker and a carrier, A+ ratings. CSA scores are great. 33 is the highest. Vehicle maintenance, 22 hours of service. Inspections, crashes, operations. Looks like this guy does a little bit of everything. Flatbed, refrigeration, reefers, motor vehicles, car hauler. Looks like he made some hoppers. 285 drivers, 264 tractors, 518 trailers. So hey, I like this guy. I want to use him. I can come over here and import. And it creates that carrier. I already got him in here, so it won't create him twice. But again, very easy to look up, review, and import a carrier. Save and exit takes me back to my load. Okay, and it brings me to the accounting tab. As I mentioned earlier, in BrokerPro you can create the customer, set credit limits, pay terms, invoice, past due, balance due invoices, statements, and receive payments. You can also create carriers, set pay terms, enter freight bills, and print out settlement checks. So on the accounting tab, you'll see side by side the customer and carrier rates, and down here in the accounting summary, what your profit and profit margin are. So there's two ways you can invoice and enter carrier freight bills: from the load level or from the accounting level. And what I mean from the load level, let's say you go to the mailbox, you pull out the paperwork from the carriers, you lay it out on your desk, you come into BrokerPro, type in that load number, go to that load, and enter in the information. Say the carrier's invoice number, the date we received it, and based on settings inside the software, it'll tell you when he's due for payment. Save it. So now he's set up to be paid on March 12th. For the customer invoice, right here, I can click customer invoice. It wants to know if I want to change the status to invoice. Let's put out here 19, yes. Now notice the invoice, of course, your logo, company information, your customer, load information, but I have a document attached to the load, to the Documents tab, a proof of delivery. I mentioned earlier, if you have a proof of delivery attached to the load, when you go to invoice the customer, it'll automatically attach that. So when you go to print or email this, it'll automatically include it. And notice that the status of the load has changed to invoice, and it's put an invoice date on it, so save it. So I just invoice the customer and set the carrier for payment, and that's from the load level. But let's say I've got multiple invoices from a particular customer and carrier, so I can go here, print invoices, and let's say I want 3GIS, show me all loads that have a status of delivered. I don't have any. Let's try en route. Okay, so you see I've got several, and so I could print these all, or two or three of them all at one time, instead of going each load and doing them one at a time. Okay, I can also do balance due, past due invoices, receive payment, send out a statement, run aging reports, invoice or sales summaries. For the carrier, enter freight bills. So again, from the accounting level, let's say that B Trucking has sent me several freight bills, and I've got him on several loads. So now instead of going load to load, I can pull here, freight bill number, date received, and so on, and do multiples at one time. So it's really just an option how you want to process. I can also print checks out to pay the carriers, settlement reports, print checks out to pay vendors. We also offer a full interface to QuickBooks Pro, either desktop or online version. Okay. So again, BrokerPro is designed to help you manage your day-to-day operations. It's got a lot of tools and features we haven't mentioned. But if you got any questions, feel free to give us a call, 256-355-6239, or you can email us, joe@brokerpro.com. Thanks.